Hello and welcome back to the European BCC tournament at Excelsior Bristol Independent Comic Shop. And we've got round three underway. So we've got Ian against Azim here. Ian playing androids, sell all the lovely stuff that everyone remembers back from season two androids. That's of course come back. And Azim is playing Janemba, the middle deck. As once again everyone knows and loves. Um, so sorry I missed the initial start. I was just adjusting a couple of things. But we go ahead and have Ian starting, playing down Freezer, takes one life. Of course, Android's super handy with the fact that it can awaken at 6 life rather than the more common 4. So lots of 1-drops that take 1 life, of course, are super efficient for the deck. And a second one more, and he's got it. But we do see, as he starts the second turn, there's already one 7-drop in his life, but looking at his hand, he's got quite a few nice options to ensure that he awakens this turn. So looking over at Azim's side, he has got his 1-drop search card, nothing crazy out, a negate as energy, but they do often want quite a few negates, obviously being super turtly, super defensive Janemba, while they just try to mill your entire deck. Can be a very fun way to play, basically the toxic stall in Pokemon version of Dragon Ball. But we're going to go ahead and see the Dark Saiyan. So Dark Saiyan is kind of unique card in some ways and very normal in other ways, but it's just a 5k. When it swings, take a life and get plus 15. Go up to 15. You get the plus 10k, but you don't get crit like other cards. What? But it has a different auto, so whenever a card's played by auto or active main, if it's less than 15,000, the player loses 2 cards from the hand. It's quite a niche little card going against certain decks, but in this case, it's primarily going to be used for making sure he awakens. And it looks like Azim has he's got his life on the other side, so I'm gonna see if I can stand up and see it. But it looks like he's taken a couple of hits. Androids, of course, has now awoken as it can do at 6 life, while he mills a couple of cards. So Azim, I believe, is at 6, where Ian's Androids also at 6. So, of course, Janemba attacks there. Handy thing with Janemba is, unlike many other cards which are attack leader get the auto to draw card, Janemba can attack anyone and then can auto and get the cards. And of course, you lose 2 cards from the top of your deck if you're Ian playing against it. Super frustrating. It's what Janemba's entirely about. The deck's usually built around being super defensive, super turtley, until your opponent basically can't play anymore because they're out of cards. But Cell does have quite a few conditions against it. Janemba does like to have cards in his hand, as many decks do. So it can be quite handy just to remove as many of them as we can. And maybe the pressure from the lower cost androids can come out and be enough aggro to stop the Janemba. As we see the second 7-drop in life already, as Ian's going to play down another energy, which of course is the third one. Zoom quite happy from the get-go. I can't quite see Ian's life. It's very possible he's out of 7 drops already, which would be super frustrating from Ian's point of view, but it isn't, unfortunately, the way it goes sometimes. Of course, not the end of the world now like it used to be due to the new Super 17 combos. There are plenty of other win conditions. So you see Ian tapping 3. Of course, the card normally costs 4, but at 3 costs, you're going to go ahead and kill 1 card. Barrier Blocker, super good card to have. It's 20,000, but when Androids does go below to 4 life, it will be 25,000 blocker barrier, which can be very strong. Um, Obviously, Janemba doesn't attack a huge amount, so it could literally just be used to make sure you don't drop any cards. But to take a hit free into it, because it's unlikely Azim's ever going to combo over just to kill a card that he doesn't care too much about. Let's see how it goes. Android seems to be swinging. Now we're going to see the 1-drop go. So not a bad idea to get rid of the 1-drop as a whole, because that 1-drop is the one that evolves into the 3-drop Janemba, which can accelerate the card destruction process faster. So that's probably why Ian's choice was to go for that over Janemba Leader. So I'm going to see another Janemba down in energy. Both players with many cards in hand, quite a few options. It'd be interesting to see how they play it from this point. And it looks like Ian is down to 5 lives. Let's quickly update that. So yeah, large hands from both players. Ian will be hoping to try and get the Soul Chain off soon, but once again unable to see his discard if the 7 drop is gone. Very, very unfortunate that all 4 would be gone, but it is the curse of playing Cell. Azim taking some time to think through his turn. Oh, comboing too. So we're going to see the 3 drop Janemba be hardcast for the 3 energy. Janemba, it's a strange little card at 19,000 power, but an important part of the Janemba engine. See, pass back to Ian's turn, now 4 energy. Throwing down the black card as energy, not the end of the world for the monocolor androids. So of course, androids do have other options. If you have very unfortunately lost all 4 of your 7 drop cells, in the expansion pack, they were given the cell which gets you a draw 2 and gets you 2 tokens. Quite a good amount of aggro, keeps your hand around. It's a pretty strong combo altogether. So it looks like Ian is going for the cell chain. Let's see what he goes for. Hopefully for him he does have a 7 drop left, but I feel we'll find out. So I'm going to see the 5 drop come out, which of course is going to allow him to draw a card and kill off the Janemba. Unless the Janemba has barrier, which, upon recollection, there's a very good chance it does. And therefore it can't be killed off, of course. So we see the double strike going for the Janemba leader, and the Dimension Magic will come out using burst, so he'll take 1 damage and get 2 energy back. The new negate, of course, having Janemba on it himself, as you can imagine, a very integral part of Janemba engine. The fact you can take 1 life and get those 2 energy back just allows you to play all the combos to make sure you stay alive. So many efficient combos in the game nowadays, of course, with the Unbreakables and the new 4 drop cells, which when you combo with them for 1 energy, you get to draw a card. So fantastic to have on energy. So we are going to go ahead and see that Ian did indeed have that 7 drop left in his deck. So Azim's going to have to lose quite a few cards here. That looks like 5 cards he's lost. And those essentially there, that's basically for insanely nice combos and the free hand, once again, a very nice combo. So the efficiency Ian gets there is pretty large. So it looks like the 1 drop freezer. So this is the excellent thing about the 1 drop freezer, and it's why I quite like it, where it's nowhere near as good as the Bardock in any way. For 10,000 against decks like Shenron, against decks like Shenmue, where you do need to pressure them early, a 10,000 beat is great, especially obviously against Shenron, it can't awaken when it wants to, so 10,000 is a threat. They have to either take the life or drop a card. And against Janemba, once again, it's a threat, because Janemba doesn't want to awaken. On this turn, it wants to save its awakening for efficient plays and good defense later. If it can save the awakening, that's fantastic. So that's what we see Azim doing here, where he could have awoken to stop it. He decided to use the Senzu Bean, and fantastic. And we're going to pass over to Azim's turn. So looking at him, we're going to see him now on 4 life. So let's go ahead and update that. And I believe Azim's down to 3. Oh, indeed. So of course the great thing about androids is, as we see from the handy dice that Ian's on there for me, is that when they are below 4 life, they almost awaken in two stages. The 6 drop lets you start drawing cards with the swings, but the 4 lives where they really come into their own, where all your Android 17 and 18s, they get an extra 5k, including the leader. So the leader goes up to the 15k you'd expect from the leader. And then, so that 4 drop card on the field is now 25,000 blocker barrier, which super efficient, fantastic card. So Azim's gone ahead and played down the Demon Sword Janemba and is swinging with it. So as you're looking at Azim's hand, it's not what you'd necessarily hope to have in a hand. It's got the 3 different Janembas, which doesn't give him a huge amount of defense, but of course, with Ian forcing him to drop 5 cards with the Cell Chain, we saw those 5 cards, all of which were defense, destroyed earlier. So Demon Sword, when he sends himself to the discard, Ian has to lose 2 cards and it kills 1 card, so of course you choose the big scary 7 drop. Then coming out, we see the other Genoma card. So this one's once again fantastic when you can use it in conjunction with the Demon Sword, because it's only going to cost 1 energy to play as long as the opponent's got cards on their side. And once again, coming out crit and excellent strong card. And when it goes, of course, Ian will lose an additional 2 cards. And we do see Azim awakening for that efficient play that we talked about earlier. It's why he saved it, so we can go back up to 4 energy now. Azim swings, obviously lands draw a card, meaning he loses an additional 2 cards. And he's going to take the hit. Not always an awful idea to take the hits that aren't crits against your number, because them attacking you is quite often far and few between. That you can almost afford to go down quite a few life just to ensure you're seeing those extra cards to make sure Janemba dies. Of course, Janemba has got a super handy thing, even if one player doesn't have, even if they don't have negates in the hand, their card ability is once again you can drop any blue card to negate any one attack. In my experience of playing both as and against numbers, that's super clutch in ensuring that you get that last little push you need to making sure that they do deck out. And it's excellent that you can turn any card into that negate pretty much. But obviously, as you'd expect against a Cell player, we do see Ian with a lot more cards in hand than Azim. Azim with crossed hand, so I can't see how many cards, but I think it was 2 or 3 at last check where Ian's in a strong position in that regard. So you see a 5-drop Gunner's Energy. Once again, it's the thing you play with playing as Cell, that if you do have, you're going to draw some 5 to 7 drops, hopefully not quite as poorly as Ian did, bless him, but you still want to make sure you get that aggro out. So we see 4 for the hard cast of the Super 17. So Super 17, it can, so when it's played, it kills a card, and the great thing about it is for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 12 cards in Ian's deck. Is Ian counting it just to see how close his win condition is? But of course, if Ian starts swinging with the very big new Super 17 Super Rare, then a team's going to start losing cards very, very quickly, because you lose 2 cards from hand and you're dealing with a 20k crit. Hugely, hugely strong card when used in the correct situation. And that card talking about, Azim's taking his time to quickly read through it. The strong things about the card, deflect. Can't get cold bloodlusted. Same with the 4-drop. So it's a nice extra thing to have in a Cell deck, and it gives you a few more options when you've done quite as poorly as Ian has done, withdrawing the tried and tested Cell chain. So it looks like Azim's taking the hit from Android to life, putting him down to just the 2 life. As the turns pass back over to him. So it depends on how well Azim's able to, how well he's able to do here, but he's going to try and survive a couple. I'm unsure if he'll be able to fully deck Ian out this turn, but I feel he may have to go for it, because in the absence of a Refuva, which looking through his hand he does not have, he will definitely struggle to deal with both the swings and the autos. update Ian's life down to 3. Andre, so about that, just quickly come back to the stream. So we do see, of course, Azim going in and gets rid of the blocker. It's going to shut stuff up on the deck, of course, and it's going to go ahead. Well, moves that to warp, goes ahead and brings stuff out, and there's another one for Ian to deal with. So we've got the crit going in against the leader, and it's just going to be negated, and Ian's going to use the burst mechanic to go ahead and take one from his life to stop that attack. Once again, super hand, like I said, against Janemba, you're quite often going to want to... It's not the scariest thing in the world, losing a life, just to make sure you get those extra cards. Keep your hand topped up to make sure you can keep going aggro. But what I'm expecting to see next turn, if Azim cannot deck Ian out now, we're going to see a couple of swings from a very big Android 17, which of course he is very visually preparing himself for by looking at the card's effect for a second time. Azim once again just checking his win conditions, checking where he's at and how close he is to it. Of course, Jemba, like I've said before, it's such a different deck to play. It's not really necessarily playing against your opponent as hard as it is playing to get your own condition and hope they don't kill you in the meantime. So Ian's going to go ahead and take that hit. So Azim here has managed to get the Vegito out. The Vegito, excellent card, came with the expansion box, used in a lot of blue decks. So I personally think it's an excellent card. And so at 4 energy, you can play it. When it's in rest mode, it gains barrier, and you can't attack the leader card. You can only attack the Vegito card in this kind of situation. So super handy, and obviously we see the Jemba is tapped out. So let's go quickly look at the card. The one thing to pick up on the 4-drop Vegito, which is different from all the new 3-drop cards, which 20,000 tap become 15k for each color. The difference is here that obviously it doesn't lose the 5k, but it doesn't actually have barrier unless it's in rest mode. So when you're trying to stall someone out, make sure you're not swinging at them. Not the most handy card in the world, but in this situation, of course, there's no harm in swinging for Ian. I believe he took the hit, so he is down at 1 life. But he's going to feel pretty comfortable with that because he's going to go for the large card. He's going to go for the big hit, and if he's fortunate here, it will be a very, very strong turn for Ian if he gets the big 17 out. So I believe he's played energy, so we'll see what he does. So Ian has gone ahead and played 2 to bring out the Android 17. Once again, a fantastic card. It'll be at 20,000. When it swings, basically at the end of the turn, it can restand as a blocker. So Ian's going ahead and hitting that with 25 into Vegito. We see from Sandy, he actually has no option to save it, so that Vegito will be gone. So a good choice from Ian, worth investing an extra 5,000, especially while Azim's tapped out. So he's going for the leader into Janemba. So Azim, of course, does always have the choice to drop a single blue card to negate it, but instead he's going to go ahead and scoop because being fully tapped out, he's got no options to win, and Ian will go ahead and take the first round. That cell chain early, I do question Azim's choice of ultimately losing that many losing that many combo choices, but of course tapping yourself out, if you're going very hard for the mill out, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, and it'll be interesting to see what options players have to side in. So both players are opting to side. Of course, both Janemba and Androids are decks that do have plenty of options, especially that one hand that Azim just put down. And there's the second one, of course, that we do see they are very good options against uh, one of Ian's Storm's Awakening being those Black Marseille cards. Let's go ahead and reset the life totals and get ready for round two. And update it, so Ian is sat at the one win. Of course, playing best 2 out of 3 here. So of course, going through the deck list at the moment, the Ian with the androids is, as we did see that game, even though it didn't come out, it almost certainly would have had Azim not scooped. But the new Super 17 engine, so this is of course new in set 5, and it does give Cell that extra win condition. It's not all about, let's play the 7-drop Cell combo, let's get a Toa Mirror out to make them drop another card, let's super combo twice, and just make sure there's no way they can physically play a card against me. Because that option is inconsistent. If you do draw multiple 5 and 7 drops, if you don't draw a 3-drop, if you get killed beforehand, it's never always an option. But what you do have now is the extra option. All you need is that 3-drop. You saw Ian in this game just straight cast a 4-drop. And what it does is give you that option to still hugely pressure without relying solely on that combo. It's quite a small engine. Lots of people run 3 of the 3-drop, 2 of the 4-drop, and only 1 of the 6-drop. And the fact it's such a small effective engine because you can grab the cards out of your drop area. Against Nemba, it's perfect, and it works very well against a number of decks when the cell chain is not possible. And we're just going to see the final cut before we jump into the game. Is team opting to keep 5 cards? That's very confident of him. There's a few cards that's in the Mifuba potentially that I do not think was potentially worth keeping, but overall still a very strong hand. So we're going to go ahead and see Azim play the Sense Bean as energy. Um, I value Sense Bean quite highly in most decks, especially when you are getting aggro down. But we're going to see the value. But if nothing else in hand to value, we're going to see the demon come out, which allows him, of course, to search top 7 and find that Janemba card. As we pass over to Ian, so we're going to see the 3-drop. So we didn't see the 3-drop Super 17 in the last game, but it ended up being Ian hardcasting the 4-drop. So what we do see is, of course, the 3-drop has energy, and that's what would normally allow you, for no additional cost, to go into the 4-drop. Ian, not such a good self-awakening as before, is going to go ahead and get moved into the Azim's second turn. So an interesting thing that I do completely agree with Ian's choice here is, instead of going for the interesting. I thought he was hoping to take the first hit so he could awaken earlier and then play the Black Marseille in turn 2. to give them the awakening, but then um, there's your kind of a little bit having a bit of fun, um, but so where it's at. So the objection goes down. Objection, of course, incredibly strong card in a number of decks. Fell a little bit out of favour with people playing um, Dende, where if you used it once, the opponent could basically destroy your entire energy. But not an awfully common card seen in many Android decks. So I'm going to go ahead and see in second turn. So that's, in my opinion, a great second turn. It's a super efficient card. Whenever it swings, it's just going to come back up. Makes it super protected, and not always a huge amount you can do to remove it. Quite often, especially when played early, it's going to get a couple of swings out of it before there's any risk of it going down. As we move into turn 3 for Azim. Azim with a fairly solid hand, wanting to keep most of it by the looks. He's unsure what card to play, but we have settled for the Dimension Magic over any other options. So Azim set at 4 energy. 4 energy is when Janemba can start doing Janemba things. Lots of the, if you do need to hardcast anything, it's going to come out at 4 energy. And sat at turn 4 with, if I update it now, sat at 6 life is quite nice. Sat with 4 energy at 6 life is quite nice for the Janemba player. Obviously, the higher life you get, the longer into the game you get, your opponent's going to lose more and more cards, and that's just perfect for you. So we see the Sack Demon coming out again, and I don't believe we found a single Janemba there. So we're going to go back over to Ian, who also seems to be deciding what energy to go for. So of course Ian here's got a couple of options of how to attack. He can go for the Cell Chain to try and hurt Azim's hand and then aggro him down that way. But normally when you have a Cell Chain, you ideally want your opponent to have a few more cards out of their life, a few more cards in their hand, so they can't recover quite as easily. So the option may be to go for the option he may choose would be to go for the 3-drop and play the Super 17 engine again. Super 17 engine, obviously fantastic. Azim's not going to have too many methods of removal of it because it does, of course, come with a barrier, and the Demon Swords won't be able to get it with the active main. So it would just be a case of if you can get that out, you know you're going to get the sparking effect because against Shinemba you have an ample drop area, and if you get that early, it can be very strong pressure, and that's probably why we see Azim start with that Mephibo in hand and keep it despite it being a good option in some places, because with the dual attack of the Android 17, the Super 17 Super Rare, it's a case of it swings at you 20,000. If you've got 10 cards in your drop area, the opponent has to drop 2 cards from their hand. And the brutal thing about that is it's got dual attack. So of course dual attack does mean that you can lose 4 cards from your hand if the auto goes off twice, and and you still have to stop both the crits from hitting your life. So see Ian swing the 3-drop Android 17 super combo from Azim, and of course it's complete free attacks. It's going to be standard in the round. So Azim takes his turn. We are going to see potentially the Mafuba go down. Uh, Ian giving me a sly look, stroking his beard. I think he's quite happy with the situation, or at least happy in general. So that's more important, I suppose. So Azim goes ahead and plays down the Unbreakable into his energy, obviously valuing the Mafuba quite highly, as you would, because if you are able to Mafuba against the Android, the Super 17 Super Rare, then you do only have to deal with one of the autos, and it's off the field next turn when you don't really have a huge amount of removal otherwise. So you're going to see the Vegito get played down. Vegito, of course, said before, super efficient card, super strong, and it's going to swing straight to the Android's leader. And Ian's going to quite happily take that, go down to 4 life, and give all his androids a little boost. As it seems, sits at 6 life still. So as we said before, the Vegito super strong, and that's a card we haven't seen yet. That's the that's the Kami 1-drop black card, and what that does is similar to many of the 1-drops. You play it and draw a card. However, if your opponent's got 4 or more cards in play, you can spend 2 energy to destroy all cards that cost 4 or less, ignoring the effects of barrier, which is very strong, but from both players' sides of the field. So basically, for the 2 energy now it's on the field, he can completely destroy the board if Ian does go ahead and play more than 4 cards out. So in Janemba decks, it can be quite strong. Janemba doesn't tend to have many minions on board for the fact that it mainly moves most of them to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn to make the opponent mill 2 cards. So it can be quite an intimidating thing just to sit there for a chunk of the game. As you see, Androids go in, and there's like Azim's going to go ahead and use his um, sparking effect on the negate to take a life and avoid the attack. So we're going to see some thoughtful plays come out from the players as Azim thinks through his turn. So, in relation to the previous game, on the plus side, Ian does not have 3 of his 7 drops in his energy, so that's always a huge bonus, as many sub players will tell you. So that's an interesting card that we see Ian grabbing his hand there. That's one of the new promo Super 17s, which means which attack cannot be negated. Super strong card, and at any point you can choose to ditch 2 cards in your hand to make the other person ditch 2 cards as well. Ian with a couple of not very useful cards is quite happy to ditch them, where Azim needing a couple of these cards for his combo, or to stay alive quite honestly. Once again, we're putting a lot of value into that Mifuba, clearly very, very scared of that Super 17 after what happened last game. So this is one thing I like about the basically the evolution of the androids deck, is it's not this, you wouldn't see this kind of field even a set ago, of course with the new promo, but it's the case of it doesn't solely rely on you get that 3-drop sell and win because there are 0 cards, or you're gone. You have so many other options, and especially the fact that Android's leader has come out a bit more prominent over the big control that Cell was, that it does allow for a lot more options, and in my opinion, it's just a lot more fun to play now. So of course, okay, so Ian decided to go in with the 4-drop block and barrier into the Vegito, of course, because you won't be able to attack the leader. 25,000 into the 20 can be quite strong, but at least you're going to make Azim start using cards. And with 2 cards in hand, he probably cannot afford to keep that Vegito around for a huge amount longer. So here with a very good use of the 4-drop being hardcast. Of course, the 3-drop Super 17 can evolve straight into that 4-cost. It doesn't have to go into the one. Yeah, it doesn't have to go into the one which allows it to go into Super 17 Super Rare. It does have this option. Once again, which could be a super, a super good choice. So that's 20,000 into the Vegito. You can see Azim here just thinking through a couple of his options, but of course the Vegito is gonna have been gone. And then again, of course, we'll get rid of the Kami, get rid of any threat of that. That number and going for the 25,000 card. And so the blocker's going to come out. Sen's been going in, making it 24 into Ian's 20k blocker. I'm going to see if Ian does care enough to drop a card to save it. But the Infernal, Emperor Freezer, that's an easy throwaway. So Azim playing the Demon Sword out from Janemba's effect. Did Azim play the energy for it? Yeah, we'll find out soon. As the Demon Sword goes in. And so Ian's going to combo up to make sure it stays alive. And of course, when it goes off the table, it's going to kill off the unnegatable card. And Ian is going to lose 2 cards, as he has been enjoying against the Janemba. So Ian's still with a solid board, but Azim still sat quite happily at 5 life. Once again, Ian does need to try and aggro him down before he gets too defensive to open his shell and gets himself decked out. And of course, the Janemba, he's probably quite happy with the current situation. Sure, Ian's got a bit of a board. But at the same time, he's quite happy to sit there and roll the punches at the moment, as long as life doesn't get too low. But saying that, we do see him take the 4th hit to go down to 4 life. So another hit comes out, another life from the Janemba. Looking a bit happier as he's down to 3, but Azim is in a situation where taking life isn't necessarily the worst in the world, because he does need to see a couple more cards in hand to try and get his win condition. So we're going to see the 3-drop come out, and of course with 3-drop you can place an Android 17 under it to get Super 17 out. But choosing not to use the effect. So Azim with a couple of dead cards, of course the objections go straight down his energy. And taking a quick look through his drop area. As you have a quick read of the card, of course a lot of text on these cards. Even if you do know the card, it can be quite good just to make sure you know the rules. And we see Azim's upset that all of the 17s have barriers, so trying to remove them is one of the worst things you can try and do, especially without that Kaminar, which is gone. Both players are having fun with it. So we go ahead and see the 3-drop never come out again, of course. But we are going to go in with the leader into leader. As Bruce said, it's not the end of the world for Ian if he were to take a couple of hits because, of course, Janemba doesn't actually pressure life that hard. But he's going to go ahead and stop it and mill those 2 cards. I say stop, sorry. He's gone ahead and taken it with Azim committing a card to making sure the life goes down. So maybe this is the game which Janemba actually kills someone by taking their life. So we got a bit of game left before that before that comes out. So interesting. So Ian with an excellent side choice, as the Janemba goes into the blocker, he's gone ahead and played the King Vegeta surprise attack, which gives it plus 10k, moving up to 30k, and Revenge. Revenge, of course, killing off Janemba, which does stop a lot of Azim's play. An excellent thing, though, of course, with King Vegeta's surprise attack, is that Ian's card would actually keep the 10k for the range of the turn. So if he wanted to try and pressure that card any further, he would just be unable to. So see Azim in a tough spot here, 2 Mafubas in hand, 1 Unbreakable, and a small part of his Janemba engine. With Ian with a significant board and is likely to be trying to push for game this turn. As Android swings into leader, Azim will go ahead and play an Unbreakable to prevent the attack. Let's go ahead and we're going to put a 17 from his drop area under there to bring out the promo again. So Ian can go ahead and drop 2 cards to force Azim to also drop 2 cards. Super good pressure and very strong little combo there. Of course, the downside is that Ian does have to lose 2 cards of his own. And Azim may choose to keep the 2 Mafubas. All 5, all 6 to hard cast 16. So when he swings with that, it will of course be negated, but he does still have to lose the other Mafuba from the auto, moving him down to 0 cards. Which puts Azim into a I really hope I draw something that saves me situation. Obviously he has to take the card. That is not a bad card for him to take. It's likely Ian does go all in here. And I'm going to see his choice of combos. Yeah, that's all in, going up to 30. So he's going to hope for a top deck that saves him. And that, unfortunately, in a very fun game, goes ahead and puts Ian to the win. Unfortunately, of course, I remember running so many one-drop cards when you're that energy out. But a very fun game, both players having good fun with the game, and I'm sure they both had a lot of fun. So Ian using the promo Super 17s to huge effect, basically crippling anything a team could have done. But well, great game, great fun. It's excellent to see 2 very good players play against each other and mess around with it. Izzy's showing that completely forgot about King Vegeta's surprise attack, as many people do. It's called surprise attack for a very good reason. When it comes out, it's incredibly strong against Janemba, stopping them from being able to mill you down. And Azim's deck didn't have an answer for it. But I'm sure at the end of it all, both players will be very happy with the game. And if we're lucky, we'll hear from Ian very soon. So both players just move their side decks back. I'm going to try and grab Ian. Ian, how are you doing, man? Good. Should have explained to you beforehand. Microphone super sensitive, as you know. I'm pretty sure it's your microphone actually, but as Peter's nice. But so I'm gonna awkwardly thrust between our faces. So good job, man. 2-0 against Janemba, Dirty Janemba player. How do you feel it went? Obviously, that first game was. I did chuckle to myself and to whoever's watching with your first 3 energy choices, but talk me through your feelings to it all, man.
I think each game was really tight. It all kind of came down to the last turn, and that the Infernal 17 that can't be negated. I think won both games, and just a broken card to be honest.
I mean, broken card when used that well, you for quite a lot of the game. Obviously, the first game was crazy, but in that second game, the entire time, if I was playing that, I'd have been looking for that super rare. But you knew your condition. You knew just to stick, making him drop the two cards every time. You're not looking for the big flashy play. You're looking for that small efficient plays. And I'm not sure you saw what cards he dropped every time, but it was so strong and it basically didn't give him a wing condition. So good job using them so well. Um, so what made you? How many of those were you run in the deck? How do they fit
Uh,
into the 17 engine normally?
so I only play one in the main deck and two in the side. Also, an additional one in the side. So I put a second one in for the second game as soon as I knew that that could be the win con. Um, and being able to effectively play it for free from the drop area with the free drop again just makes it even more
So
strong.
strong, so strong.
It's
Three drop to get that out. Drop two cards. You had the two cards you're gonna drop planned so far in advance that it was really well played. Yeah, genuinely, really, really, really impressive play, and I think that puts you through to where you're going to be against the only other person who's won all three games.
no, that's not worrying at all.
Yeah, obviously Janemba, not the easiest matchup in the world for Cell. I think, as we saw, it could really go either way. But dude, that King Vegeta surprise attack. Talk about what made you put that in there. Was it purely for this?
Yeah, so that is just a sideboard card as well, and knowing that how important the three drop Janemba is for the Janemba player, being able to kill it was just brilliant.
Yeah, unfortunately, Street didn't get Azim recoiling in pain, and that card was played. But it was magnificent. That must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, it felt very good.
Just to be like that win condition you had, that's really rapidly disappearing, and it's Mikey though. But yeah, cannot congratulate you more. Good job getting through. I'm sure through to top eight, regardless. But it's a bit a case of I think you're in the next round. You'll be playing against. I have no idea who else is in the top two.
We'll find
I don't
out.
know why I started that
Yeah,
comment, but
yeah.
we'll let everyone know. Right, excellent.
Oh, thank you very
Cheers
much.
again, Ian.
Cheers. Thank you.
And I'll grab a Azim. Hey guys, I'm with Azim. I'm Josh. Good to
Oh,
meet
hi.
you.
Nice to meet you.
I didn't think I talked to you beforehand, but we alright?
Yeah, not too bad. All sweet.
Yeah. Quite super sensitive, so I'll be throwing it back and forth
No
a bit.
problem, no problem.
So obviously, Cell's not the easiest matchup in the world for Janemba.
Nah.
Um, used for different win conditions. Just tell me your thoughts about the game. Because obviously, one looked quite good. He lost all the seven drops, and then it ended
Yeah,
in you have basically having to do. In the second one, he used the promo so efficiently.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
tell me through your talk me through what you're thinking, how you're going about playing.
To be honest, like, I didn't really test this matchup at all because my group of friends that we have all the cards, yet we never built the deck. So it was really tough. So ever since Janemba was like released, I decided I wanted to play it. I was like, okay, it's gonna be good.
Super fun.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a fun deck to play, and so I tried it. I'm not gonna lie, he played it really, really well. The way he did Limitless and the other blocker, that other one, I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
That one, the
the four
blocker,
drop and the
yeah,
three drop. Yeah,
that one. He did that really well. The fact that I didn't get any board presence in terms of my Janembas even. Um, I weren't milling early game. The objection held, but then I also missed a turn, so it was tough.
the objection helps, but of course it made that extra card down for having to play objection and
Yeah,
that card's energy.
yeah,
And I was just saying to Ian, he used the promo card so well against you to make sure you had that just a low hand, few options all the time.
yeah. I have to
But
say, I wasn't really concerned about the seven drop cell. If my hand goes down to three, that's fine. I can still get out of it because I've got obviously the
especially while a good
negates.
line,
Yeah,
you're good.
I should be okay. So I wasn't too fussed about going. The main one for me was obviously his blockers and the Super 17. They were the ones that I were most concerned of, and in the end, it turned out that they were the ones that beat me. So
Yeah, that entire engine did very well against you, as
yeah,
well it should. Having cards in drop area does help the super rare coming out. So,
yeah, like
but
I said, hopefully I didn't test much against this, which was a big mistake on my behalf. So hopefully now that I know the matchup and I've got actually trying to grind out and get some of the cards so I can build the deck myself. So at least we've got something to test. So hopefully next time it'll be my game.
yeah, hopefully that's some good experience playing against that
Yeah,
matchup.
definitely.
You've done very well today anyway, so hopefully you'll. Well, I'm confident you'll still place
Yeah,
in the top eight. So
I'm
hope we see
hoping.
you
I'm
again.
hoping.
Nah, you'll be 100%. Truly believe in you, buddy.
No problem.
But yeah, well, cheers out so much for talking
No
to me,
problem.
and
Thanks very much.
cheers,
Cheers.
cheers, buddy.
See you, man.